Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another 7 round mock draft for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm going to be posting a first round mock for who I think the Cowboys would get at 12 and 20. That was more realistic in my opinion. But with this, the mentality that I've taken when looking at the combine stuff is there's always going to be combine standouts. There's always going to be people that show out at their pro day, right? But two things matter: tape and then consistency. So there's going to be people that pop off and maybe rise a lot. We saw the Dylan Thieneman. We saw that with some of the edge guys that ran really well. And I think what you have to understand whenever you look at the combine stuff is somebody's going to fall. As more stories come out, as coaches go to each pro day, they're going to fall more and more in love with the prospect. There's going to be trades that happen. Teams are going to feel antsy to jump up, and they're going to have to go get guys. I think with the receiver market, JSN just got paid, which means every GM is looking at that cash and saying, can I go draft a guy like Lemon or Tyson or Tate to go be my number one, number two for now, and then develop? Puka's going to command a lot of money. So there's definitely a swing in value whenever it comes to picks, and there's not necessarily a premier running back in this draft. I mean, outside of Jeremiah Love, obviously Jadarian Price is good, Damon Claiborne, but there's a lot to be left. So if you want weapons, right, you go receiver early. You have to really go one of the top 4 or 5 guys. I think Chris Bell would have been one of those guys, but it's up to Casey Concepcion, who's getting a knee scope. So there's questions there. And then there's also guys like Kenyon Sadiq, who are just big threats. And then you go on the defensive side. There's a lot of edges, but where you rank them depends on the scheme you play and the potential you see. I think the NFL fans are a lot less high in David Bailey than NFL teams are. And then there's a lot of different guys who, what is their role in the NFL? That's yet to be seen. Jermod McCoy would have been a top 5 pick guaranteed had he not been injured based off his 2024 tape. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that kind of alter what the decision making might be. But for the Dallas Cowboys, this is the draft I would love if I'm a Cowboys fan. If we made no trades, this is just going off of the picks that they currently have. Now, at 12, like I said, good players fall. Sonny Styles had a monster combine. We saw from his pro day recently, Mansour Lane had a stellar day. I think with the contract of JSN and Puka looming, George Pickens looming, teams are going to want receivers early. That's going to push down the board. Kenyon Sadiq might go earlier than we think. There's the tackle run. If the Browns go tackle, then that opens up a lot of doors. I think if more than 2 tackles go in the top 10, there will be some moves made. But if Caleb Downs doesn't get taken by the Bengals at 10, I think he'll go to the Cowboys at 12. Caleb Downs is someone that can play kind of the star role, but he can also play over the top. He did it at Alabama. He can play both. We wouldn't be talking about Caleb Downs the way we do if he wasn't more than just a box-type safety. And I think his versatility, you might forget just because of the Ohio State years, but at Alabama, he was a different player. And he was great then. He's great now. The best defensive player in the country, really. And when you watch him play, you just see a star. So Caleb Downs at 12 is a home run pick. If he makes it, if anyone makes it, I think the Cowboys are going to get a great player. Next, at 20, the Cowboys only have Donovan Ezraku playing the wide edge currently. Sam Williams they brought back. Sam Williams will probably end up playing a 4-eye, rotate with Rashawn Gary. I don't think they have another guy really who's playing outside. And Ezraku's going to be coming off of a labral tear. So the Cowboys are in a position where they need production. They need people that can start and play right away. Hakeem Mesidor can start and play right away, which is why Hakeem Mesidor is the perfect pick at 20. He had 12.5 sacks last year. He had good production. Now you can point to Ruben Bain and say, Ruben Bain did that, Bull. You need somebody that can play opposite. And when you have Quentin Williams on your defensive line, all you need to do is cause havoc and let him finish plays. And I think the Cowboys just need playmakers, people that can do stuff. Next, at 92. Now, there have been a couple trades for linebackers floated like Jordan Brooks, but I think the Cowboys, if they stick and pick, they should go cornerback here because you want to build on that secondary. I think they did a lot of things they haven't done in the past by bringing in Jalen Thompson, P.J. Locke, going and get Kobe Durant. Those are all great shorter term solutions, but you need long term guys who can be in the system, who can play and lock down whenever the ball is not being thrown towards them. And the reason is because they hold down their side. I think Malik Muhammad is a great cornerback. He's from the area, not a far drive from Texas, and he kind of represents the physical type of cornerback that Christian Parker could use. He's fast, he can cover well, and he can really be a guy that can lock down a side. Whenever I watch Muhammad play, I just think if only the Texas defensive coordinator trusted them more. With more blitzes, was more aggressive, I think Malik Muhammad at 92 would be a great pick. Next, at 112, we have Kyle Lewis. Now, Kyle Lewis is listed as a linebacker. He's kind of like a hybrid. He is the star position that the Cowboys are looking for, and he fits excellent in that role. Like I said with Caleb Downs can play both roles, which is why he becomes a lot more versatile, and I think Kyle Lewis can play both roles as well. Kyle Lewis can play safety in the NFL, or he can be an undersized linebacker, but he's quick enough and he can play in the box, which makes him a player. And you want players. You want guys that can play day one. I think Kyle Lewis is another one of those. Next, at 152, Romelio Height. Height had a good year, 10-plus sacks off the edge on a crowded D-line with David Bailey and Lee Hunter. I think Height is another guy like Mesidor who benefited from having a good battle friend on the line. And the NFL is about collective. The best defensive lines can rotate, and they're about collective pass rush. I think what the Cowboys saw with Micah Parsons is a one-man team, but what do? You double team him, or you chip him, or you run plays away from him. And while he still made plays and still was able to chase down, you need guys that can play the run, play the pass, and can be a group pass rusher. Because the Cowboys, when they traded Micah, decided they were going for a group pass rush mentality, and I think you need to embrace that. Next up at 177, I'm taking Sam Roche. Now, he came in as a traditional blocking tight end, and like I said, while some people are going to fall because of the combine, some people rise. And Sam came in kind of like traditional blocking guy, but he showed at the combine he's an athlete, he's quick, he can move, he's strong, and I think the Cowboys need to upgrade at blocking tight end. Now, I think their best tight end, obviously Jake Ferguson, had a bad year last year, but I think he'll bounce back with Dak another year. I think he dealt with some concussion stuff that wasn't as public. And then after that, I think Brevin Spann-Ford has kind of shown like he's a mauler. He's a big target. He's a red zone threat. Brevin Spann-Ford would be a great tight end 2. Now I'm looking at tight end 3, the blocking tight end. And Luke Schoonmaker just doesn't do it for me. I know he's a second-round pick. I know Jerry's going to want to keep him for that reason to prove that he wasn't wrong. But I think it's time to move past Luke Schoonmaker. You draft his replacement, Sam Roche. Next, at 180. Now, I went to Army. I'm an Army fan. Eli Heidenreich is one of the most explosive players in the nation. Anytime he touches the ball, he can make things happen, whether that's in the run game, whether it's in the pass game. This guy can play. Now, you get him in a role like Kevontae Turpin, maybe have him play special teams. You have a guy who can go be a threat. Now, Ryan Flanoy, I think, will be a great wide receiver 3, but you need guys. Mingo, Turpin are wide receiver 4 and 5, respectively, but you need to apply pressure. Trayshawn Holden, I think, would be a great wide receiver 4 also, but you need guys that can do both roles, and I think Heidenreich can, even if it's just for returning kicks. I think Turpin has kind of lost some of that juice that has his name, and he's kind of just a household name at this point. You go draft his replacement. That way you don't have to pay him money moving forward, and I think he's a great guy. Now, at pick 218, did he have a great year? No. Has he had a great couple years? No. But if he's still available late round, I can't imagine Jerry sees the hometown kid and doesn't go get him. Cade Klubnik from Clemson was supposed to be the Trevor Lawrence successor and was supposed to be a guy that really balled out at Clemson, but Clemson's kind of fallen off, and Cade Klubnik was kind of a large reason for it. He's not the most accurate at times. He doesn't really wait for his progressions. He's pretty antsy, and he isn't the best athletically anymore. That's what he was supposed to be touted for, his running ability, and he hasn't really shown that to that level. But I think what he does is he gives you another camp arm at the minimum, and it causes the Cowboys to have a backup plan if the Joe Milton experiment doesn't work. Joe Milton he can't hit the side of a barn. He can throw hard, but throwing hard isn't enough. You need to have accuracy. You put Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik gives off the vibe of Dak at Mississippi State, and I think they're similar players and their draft analysis essentially. So I think if you go into the next year with Dak, Joe Milton as your second quarterback, and then Cade Klubnik as emergency, and you just keep him on the practice squad, that's a good sign. And then obviously the Cowboys, they might look and go a different route in this draft. I could see them drafting a receiver at 92. I think maybe drafting a running back, because I'm not sure how they feel about Jaden Blue and Maffa, and even Israel Bondikandi, who they got from the Jets. Big fan of him at Pitt. I think the Cowboys have options, and I think it's not as bad as it may seem, but they need to be diligent in the free agency period to get some veterans before the draft so they don't have as many holes. Anyway, this is my 7-round mock draft for the Dallas Cowboys. Mock Draft Monday. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video and made it this far, leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe for more videos. I appreciate you, and have a great rest of your day.